Oh, hello, everybody. What's up? Welcome to #DeafWoke. My name is Antoine Hunter. PurpleFireCrow. Yes, and I miss you too. It's been a while. I haven't seen you guys in a while. #DeafWoke. Did we stop? Nope, we're still here. And we have been so busy trying to do our shows, but we're still here. We're still Black, still in these spaces, working hard, traveling, and doing what we love, providing joy, just like we get joy. Today is Friday, February 28th, 2025. I am still in San Francisco, California. I'm going to give a visual description of myself. I have a orange, red, and blue cap on. I have an ebony bush beard, and it's got even more gray in it. Compared to last year, I've started to add more gray and more wisdom. My locks have gotten longer, even longer than before. My background is white, but here in San Francisco, I'm in a beautiful gallery. I'll turn the camera around so you can see it. And if you look at the other side, there we are. I'm at a beautiful place. It's at 836M. But just a moment. I'm going to explain that there are two people who are going to be voicing for us today. This is not my voice. My voice is even higher, but there is a different voice speaking for me today in English. My two interpreters today are right here. How are you two? It's Friday. Great, yeah. Go ahead and introduce your names. Hello, I'm Gloshanda, and I am Jamu. Such cool, beautiful people. Thank you so much for coming and providing your services. All right, so cool. So here at 836M, I mentioned the name, this gallery that I just turned the camera around and showed you. Interpreter, if you could pop up for me.
Happening on March 13th.
We hope to see you soon. Hello, welcome to 836M. My name is Celine Ricci and I am 836M Program Director.
My name is Yuli Serrato and I'm 836M Program Associate.
We are very happy to welcome the Urban Jazz Dance Company to our place for their residency, DeafWoke Communication in Conversation.
This residency will span from March 3 to May 17. Please stay tuned about all the events happening while the Urban Jazz Dance Company is with us. Don't miss out on the soft opening happening on March 13th.
We hope to see you soon at 836M. Bye!
Those two are beautiful people. And who's our cool guest for today? Their name is Awet Moges. Awet Moges. They are a deaf person from Eritrea. And they're a mythopoet, meaning they do storytelling of ancient times and of the future, but the twist is that they are a visionary in writing deaf stories within that mode. And they fully transform and express themselves creatively in their deaf storytelling way. And we do have not only a hearing storyteller way, but as a deaf community, we have a deaf storytelling way. There are 3 comic books, and Awet will provide the titles of those books. So if you're wondering who they are, I'm gonna have them pop up on screen. Are you guys ready? Awet, come on.
Hello. Yay.
Awet.
Thank you for having me on your show, #DeafWoke.
Yes. I'm really excited you're here. Your hair looks nice. It looks better than mine. You know, I used to have hair like you.
Hey. Hey. I have a good barber. And I have good genes too.
Yeah. So the first question is, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm happy. I'm alive. Still moving. And I know these are some challenging, tough times, but any day above ground is a good day. Amen.
Exactly that. Yeah, still a good day, still getting joy and inspiration. And where are you now?
Right now, I'm living in Los Angeles. I'm here in my studio. You can see my art. And really, this is my creative space.
Oh, is that where you were born and raised there?
Yes, I was actually born in Africa, in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa. And this is a sign. I was born there. My parents found out that I was deaf, and they thought that the education here in America would be good. And so I actually went to a university and got my education there. My sister was born deaf. My sister is resonant. And so we have a signing family, actually. We all use sign language. My parents really demanded that we have communication. Originally, we learned C, and then later ASL around the age of 21.
Oh, so how did you pick up ASL later in life?
So that was in the 70s. When we were thinking about deaf schools and mainstream schools, all of the teachers were hearing. Very few of them used sign language. They could sign using English with their signs. I grew up in a mainstream setting. Then I went to a good school, a good program, had interpreters there who provided interpretation into C.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, there was some deaf culture, but not much. I graduated high school and I met so many other people. And that's when I was fully immersed in ASL. ASL that.
How important is ASL? You know, some people have the ability to speak English, but ASL, why is it so important? Or do you feel like you sign more like BASL?
Well, to answer your question, I'll have to go back and explain language acquisition for deaf people. Most deaf people acquire language late because they're born to hearing parents who are unaware or unfamiliar with deaf culture in ASL. And so the language acquisition process is delayed and it occurs late. Now, for me, I was fortunate because my parents were very fond of communication and they would sign any way they could with me, which helped me to progress. Now, when another sibling was born deaf, that was even better. They had a perfect access to visual language and sign language. I did go into a mainstream school. I had English, but it was kind of backwards. I learned from print and reading and words, and then learned the language, which isn't really successful, but ironically, it worked. Oftentimes, we talk about speaking and then signing and then writing later, but my process was different, but it wasn't fully successful. ASL is critical.
Yeah, definitely critical to have that language. Thank you for sharing the history, deep history behind all of this. You have a beautiful sign language, the way that you communicate and express yourself, being able to connect with people. But ASL is not the only way that you express yourself.
Right.
You use art.
Yep.
You have a number of different pieces of art that you've produced. How did you get to the skill of making art?
Well, I think it really started in elementary school. I was in a mainstream school and I was the only deaf child in the entire school. And I didn't feel alone, but I did feel I needed more information and more access. At that time, television did not have closed captioning. And so we would have cartoons and we would have to ask for translation of what they're saying. So I would ask an older sister, and my sister would say, "Oh, it's so dumb. It's silly." And I wanted to know what they were doing. So I opened comic books because they were similar to the cartoons and it was a visual medium and I immersed myself. And that's how I got pulled into drawing and art. That became my visual language. So from elementary school with the Transformers comics up until now, that's how I got into it.
Oh, could you, for expressing yourself, could you restate that?
So when I visualize how to tell stories to other people, how to translate comics to other people, I think about a friend and imagine they are those characters. As I became older, I became more fascinated with comics and the characters and Black characters who are from Africa, like me. Most of the characters are white, and I wanted to subvert that. And so in elementary school, I started to develop my own characters. One of my older friends and I would develop different characters. And that's how I came up with Pantheon.
Wow. Did you go to another school for art?
No, I'm self-taught.
Self-taught.
Yes. Kind of how I see you, you when you're teaching art, there are some folks who never become skilled. At the time, I thought that teachers were terrible and maybe they would be terrible at teaching art too. But looking back, I should have listened. I should have listened to the teachers and maybe, they weren't terrible artists, but I took a different trajectory, a different way around to becoming an artist. So I'm self-taught.
But okay, putting that aside, the school university track, did you have role models, inspirations?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense of those who made art and were successful, and no, in the sense of having a real life person that I've met and someone who's mentored me. I have not had that. And so what I did was, I would look at my favorite artists and I would translate their work, what I thought was good about their work. I would look at that, the early productions that weren't the best, but still professional, but not as good as my favorite. And then I would figure out how to progress from their baseline. And so that's kind of what engineering is, right? That's where my background is in actually. So it's kind of like a reverse mentorship.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man has become my mentor. And that's all right. We all have our own inspirations, things and people that we look up to. You know, some of our inspirations are spiritual, some of them are real people in our lives. It could be a rock that inspires you,
Mm-hmm.
even though it doesn't move, it doesn't change its form, it stays as itself, as a stone, and you've got your own inspirations. I think that's really incredible. So you've created your own world, and you know you've got this character who straps on all of their tool set and explores that world. When you started making this graphic novel, is it a comic book, or like how should I sign it?
Well, I say comics, and I feel like they're kind of immersed with other art forms with comic art. And so you can use classifiers in the comics, and as you're working through the pages, you see them emerge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think of comics are as another form of books, where books are limited in that you have to follow a linear path, but comics are more dynamic. So that's how I envision it, and I sign it this way. Comics are more like graphic novels, where you can see the maturity in the stories, and they can stand alone. They're more independent. Whereas you have these other forms that are consistent. So I think of intellectual property, and you have to monthly maintain them. That's how these comics are versus graphic novels. They're kind of different, but they're similar form of art, right? They're on the 2D page, but the words come alive. You do have to have titles for both, but I feel graphic novels are for more mature audiences.
Yeah, looking back, I just laughed to myself. You're so right. I remember when I was a kid and I would go into a comic book store, they would have some of them where you would read one side and then you'd flip it over and you could read the other side. And I read them for quite a while. It was $5.25 to buy them, but if you wanted more of the story, you had to pay over and over again. And $60 as a kid is quite a bit, but if you really want to keep reading the story, you keep chasing after that next book. Which stories did you like reading the most?
So collections, I'm thinking about more producing and focusing in on that. But when it comes to collections, I think there are some good, hot, cool art. But I prefer, certain characters that others might not prefer. So everyone has their own preferences, but I like the ones that are the best art forms. So most of those, I would say, are the HK series. And I will hop around looking at a few other ones, but I want to go for the ones that are the best drawn ones.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. So Marvel or DC, which camp would you choose?
It depends. When I first started buying comics in the 4th grade, I didn't really see a difference between the two. There was no clear difference for me. At that time in elementary school, I said, DC is okay. Marvel is better because of the story quality. And it was based on that, but not the superheroes and their characters. More of like the super identities and the secrecy within the story, whereas DC didn't have that. That wasn't important to them. So I felt that Marvel had the good quality, and then that DC copied them and then became better as well. So then they were neck and neck, and now you can see a little bit of a difference. back in the 30s and 40s, DC had a lot of superhero characters, but didn't really focus on the secret identity until much later. Whereas Marvel already had that. And you get to see their struggle between their work and their secret identity. And so that was important to the Marvel franchise. And I connected more with them. Later, DC improved. And so then it became a better franchise. But yeah, I followed a lot of Marvel at that time.
Interesting. Yeah, actually, I feel the same way. Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't looked at it from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for me, Batman, Superman, I read most of those. And then as I got older, I liked the Green Lantern, my community, my people. It was one of the only heroes where I felt like, I could personally relate to that character and the willpower that they struggled with. But as I read more of it, I enjoyed it. And then I read yours. Wow. So good. The first one. Can you explain the first one? How did you start making it? Come up with the name and all of that?
So the name of all of the series is Pantheon. And really, I've tried different versions that weren't really successful when I was thinking about creating the art and the plot. And I had several false starts or dead ends, so to speak. And then my last year of college, that semester, I had a philosophy and literature course. And the professor said that we had to write a short paper. And it had to be one concept from philosophy. And, in Syracuse University, we had common assignments like this. We had to make short stories. And I decided to follow that concept. And then I said, I'll abandon this. I wanted to follow a concept of abandonment. And I wanted to write something that was convincing. And so the first chapter of Pantheon, a character wakes up on the beach with no memory. And they decide to join a radical band. And they find themselves struggling with their identity through everything that they're confronted with. And so then there's where the name developed. And I submitted that. As time went on, a few years later, I decided to do some more design and improve the story and the plot.
Right. So you've got 3.
Yes.
Right?
I published 3.
And the first one?
So Pantheon, Heterotopia.
All right. And which year?
That was in 2018.
All right. And the next one?
And then in 2020, that was right before the pandemic hit. Let me see, where's the book?
Wow. And now you've got the third one you've made.
Oh yeah, it's a beast. That one is HeteroGenia. It's a thick one.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at how thick that one is. So for the people who are watching, I'm going to add a video that shows it very clearly, all his work.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. Round of applause, really.
Thank you.
The first one, did I spell it right? Kaeli, Cali? Wow, their stature and their figure. What's their superpower?
So really, remember the character doesn't have any memory. And so now they're consulting with the gods of that time from India, and they're talking about the destruction. And so Keely feels kind of separated and becomes this, in contact with this old avatar god to rebalance the universe because it's just unbalanced. So then Keely can't remember who they are and how they got there, and they've been abandoned. And so this all-powerful Indian god appears.
Wow. I could just tell from the character design that I should not play with him. And I see it in the background there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this one.
Wow.
Let's see if you can see that.
Wow.
So they're experiencing like this self-contradiction.
I've got a little more of a heavier question. When you're producing the artwork and drawing, do you see yourself in any of these characters?
I do. And that's on purpose. It's kind of like I want each character to have his own individual trait. But then later, as I revisit those characters, I see part of my personality. Some of it in one character, another part in a different character. And I think maybe good writers do go there and put themselves in the characters. So when Keely wakes up on the beach with no memory, it's kind of the deaf experience here in America as an immigrant of where am I? What's my identity? And so finding that each of these different aspects in America is not really our own.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has some kind of subtext communication there in regards to my experience.
Yeah. I love the way that, you show your characters' lives and identities, and it's not outright shown, but it's still present. And I haven't read the second or third volumes. I'm still new to the series, but I'll get there. Don't worry. But if I could ask you, is there a way that you're able to reflect a deaf character within the art and within the volumes?
So some of the art, I start by laying out the designs. There are other art pieces that are out there that I have created that have been shared amongst the community. And so sometimes you can see handshakes within those art pieces and other aspects of deaf culture, because the person who is looking at the art will find meaning in that art. They'll see things. And so when they're looking from the deaf lens, they'll see my experience of growing up here in America. I don't put it there explicitly, but the experience is there. Again, it's like a subliminal conveying of that message within the art.
How important is it for people to start expressing themselves and start drawing? If they have the attitude where they're like, I don't know if I'm an artist. How do you really encourage them to dive into art?
Really, our culture doesn't promote art. There's this high standard of perfection, but that's actually not important. There is no right. That concept isn't important. Once I was sitting and drawing with a friend who is an artist, and there were just a few words that were shared there, but the story was still deep. And I was feeling frustrated with the art because I couldn't get the prose right And I just felt like I failed at it. But then my friend said the art is there. There's no failure, there's no perfection. It's only practice. And I said, you know what? You're right. That makes sense. You don't have to get it perfect. You can ignore the concept of failure and just move through the art. And that's fine. Just keep going. Art is what we need. That's an outlet for ideas where we can share and convey different things. And we need more artists in the world, especially deaf artists, especially Black deaf artists. So that's what I would encourage.
Absolutely. Art saves lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And there's proof of that. People who are in prison, when they're frustrated, they're confined, they have projects that they're given through rehabilitation, and they're allowed to make films and other things. And it shifts their attention from the isolation to being able to move forward, for looking forward from when they're out of prison. And so then they find hidden talent.
Yeah, I totally agree. That makes sense to me. There are people out there who really need outlets for their inspirations. And they're looking for inspirational role models, but it could come from, like I said before, a rock or a comic book or a person in your life. But I don't know that we have a lot of deaf comic book artists out there, but you're my favorite one, that's for sure. When I think of the list of names, or if I would put any art up on the walls of this gallery, your name comes up, but I'm not sure how many other names would, but you should send me some art so I can go up here. All right, so we're going to play a game that we play with everybody. Name these people. The rules are very simple. All you need to do is you can either name the person, and I'll read the bio, or even if you could describe the person that the bio is talking about, like, oh, they were, the fireman in this thing, that's close enough. All right, so we have a deaf native of Maryland who is an American deaf actor who received a nomination for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actor in The Last of Us, which was a TV drama series on HBO in 2023. He first acted in the 2018 film Seed of Hope, the Andrew Jackson Foster story.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
Last year, in August 2024, he was an honoree of Time's Kid of the Year. He was the 43rd Deaf Woke guest in 2023. Really enjoyed having them as a guest. Who do you think it was, my 43rd guest?
Should I say the name or ask for a lifeline, ask for some help?
Do you need a lifeline? I can add their face.
Handsome kid there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I would say this is the name, Kevin.
That's right. Kevon.
Okay. Whew.
Kevon. Yeah, he plays hockey. Awesome human being. Yeah, I really love this kid. He's got a huge heart.
He could be the Black magician.
Yeah, you should ask. See if he's interested.
All
right, so this woman, she's deaf, a native of Alabama. She's an author and the founder of the Center for the Black Deaf Studies at Gallaudet University in DC. She co-authored a book, The Hidden Treasure of Black ASL, in 2011. She is well known in the deaf communities here in the US. Who do you think it is?
Carolyn.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. Dr. Carolyn McCaskill. Such an amazing person, right?
Oh, yeah.
This deaf person, he's from Tennessee, lives in Los Angeles. His real name is Blank Eugene Catrone Jr.
Yep, I know who.
And he goes by his well-known stage name. It's Duonym. And as a comedy content creator and actor, he owns the Blank Blank Show, which is an online comedy video content series. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Really love that guy. I love his signature move.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
I was with him at Long Beach State, and we got introduced, and he forced me to dance. His name is H.F. Harold Fox.
There he is. That's right. Wow, you've got 3 so far. That's pretty good. We've got 2 left. All right, so this woman, she's a coda, a native of Pennsylvania, was born in the arms of her deaf parents. She's an actress on both films and television and is known for Empire, a TV music industry drama series on Fox. That was 2015 to 2018. She wrote 2 children's books, I Am Enough in 2018 and I Believe I Can in 2020. Reminds me of Obama. Yes, we can. I believe I can. Si se puede.
Any hints?
I'll give you what they look like.
I need some help. Help. A beautiful
Lifeline. Anybody gonna type in the chat if you know who this is? Go ahead and
name. Can I type in the chat? Can people type? I don't know who this is.
No, it's probably not on. All right, here they are. Grace Byers.
Years. A coda. Okay, cool. That's wonderful.
And last one. This is a hearing person from Maryland. He was born under a different name. This is a hard one. Ronald McKinley Everett. He founded Kwanzaa.
That's one level below me at Long Beach.
All right. They founded Kwanzaa in 1966, shortly after the Watt riots.
Dr. Oh, okay. I almost got it. Dr. Maulana.
Yeah, tell me more about this person.
So they're in Africana Studies at the university. So that's the university in Long Beach, California. Their office is on the 4th floor in the psychology building. I'm on the 4th floor and their office is in the 3rd floor. And so every year they talk about Kwanzaa, and there's always a whole group of folks who go there, and I go to be witness to the celebration as well.
Wow. Amazing. I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know, like, you know, you were 1 floor below their office.
Yeah, Africana Studies Department, their offices, really, we were given their offices. So we're like sister programs, and they gave us office space. Now, being deaf and being from Africa as well. Oh, he was so cool when we met. He said, yeah, for sure. I'm down.
Wow. You win.
What, I get 3-1?
No, you only missed one. You got 4 right.
There was one that I needed help with. Thank you for that. Cheers.
I believe it was close enough. And it, 50-50, 51-49, that's passed in my book. You really know your Black history.
Yeah.
People think about February, that it's Black History Month and then it's over. But for me, it's all year round.
You better say it. Yep. And you know why? Before world history, there was Black history. Cheers.
Yeah. Tell me more. Absolutely. So true. All right. So, yeah, I hope everybody's having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So my platform has changed a little bit. You can ask questions. They will come directly to me. It used to just automatically pop up, but we've changed the system a little bit. So we've got a question here. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and type your questions in.
Well, you
it's possible. It's possible you might get some personal questions, so be ready for those.
You picking.
All right. So, do you like horror films? Who's your favorite horror character?
I love horror films. I feel like I'm more behind than the recent years. I think in the past 5 or 10 years, there's been some improvements, but my favorite horror movie of all time is Scream. Because obviously during that time, like 2021, they were making fun of horror movies. And so, they really helped to progress the horror movie scene. But I love the face. I also like Candyman too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't see the question. One person is saying, awesome guest. Awet, so cool. We've got another question on the way, but it hasn't popped up yet. I've got another screen to the side of me that I'm watching. If anybody's got any questions, throw them out there. And we don't have a lot of time left, too. Both of us have got lives. Remember that.
Yep. And I'm doing a drawing.
What is this?
Something I'm working on. It's a sequel to my 3rd comic book. This one is Heterothanasia. And so it's a little bit of a spin off that's different from the previous 3 books.
Is that what's next for you?
Yeah, that'll probably be 280 something pages.
Whoa. How much does it cost to make something like that?
Really, it depends on the printing company. The first 2 books, they cost about $6 or $7 per copy. And that was back in 2018. And then the profit was $13 on top of that. So that was a good profit. Then the other was $15 to print per copy. And then the resale was $36. And that was decided by the publishing company.
All right. I'm sure there's a negotiation and all of that. All right. I don't have my glasses on, but it says, how did comic books come into your life when you were younger? Did a family member share them with you? Did you find them at school or maybe a teacher? Some examples, or how did they come into your life?
I think I mentioned that, but in 4th grade or 5th grade, I can't remember which, I was watching cartoons. Transformers, and I thought it was so cool, but there were no captions there. And so my sister, I asked her about it, and I ended up finding a comic of Transformers on the street. It was a cool story. And I said, oh, okay, the comics actually beat the TV show. So that was a gateway for me. And I just went along the track of comics.
Wow. We've got another question. If you could be any character, who would you become?
Ooh, a cartoon character? That's a good question. Normally, I would think of someone who's strong and powerful or can fly, but I think I'd rather be someone who has a high IQ, who is able to create and invent a lot of things. Maybe I'll be Tony Stark or Dr. Ben. So it'll be one of these two, Dr. Banner.
Oh yeah, I'd be scared of you if you got mad. All right. What sort of advice would you give other artists who are thinking about making a comic book or a graphic novel, or maybe working in a different genre of art? What type of experience should they acquire?
Well, that's a good question. Sans a mentor, I would say be creative. And I'll admit to you, I had to work backwards. I had to think about who were amazing artists and then find out how to draw. And so I would find tutorials like these.
Oh.
And those are helpful. But yes, there are all kinds of ways that you can learn and get the hands-on part, because you can't always meet an artist and ask them how to draw. I remember I met someone when I was in 7th grade who showed me how to do the expanded art forms, and they gave me some advice, and that advice was draw every day. And that was Todd McDarland.
Thank you guys for all of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So are we going to stop here? No. So Awet, you can follow them on social media. It's at THANATOLOGIST. Follow them, get connected, show your support. And you're deaf, is that correct?
Yeah, born deaf.
Me too. Me
Just
too.
like you.
We're out here. And we all have to stay connected, and our story doesn't stop today. We keep it moving into the future. So, brother, is there anything that you want to say that hasn't been said today? Anything you'd like to share? Any thoughts?
Yes. You know, right now, we feel like we're in tumultuous times. We feel like there's no stability, and so much is unpredictable about the future. And that is actually the best time to be creative. That's when creativity thrives. When you're comfortable and safe and have stability, we often aren't creative. But creativity comes from challenges, when you're thinking outside the possibilities of what things could look like, when you want something new, something different that you haven't yet tried. This is the best time to be creative. So take advantage of this opportunity right now. Now is the time.
I love what you said. I definitely resonate with that message. I think it's an important time to take deep breaths in, and really well said, the thoughts you shared. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Anytime.
Solidarity.
Wow. Awet, what an amazing artist. And really, it's so important that all of us stay connected. We hear about each other's stories. How my guests express themselves through art. And if you haven't read any of their work yet, please go and seek it out. And you know, one day some of these first and second and third volumes are going to be worth a lot more money. So people are going to be bidding on them on eBay, trying to grab them, but they're still going to be expensive. And a lot of artists don't get a lot of support. So I think it's super important that we support each other. And I feel that we've come a long way. There's some division and some internal fighting, but I feel like we should turn the fighting into mutual support, and we should support our community. Thank you so much to Awet. Thank you to my interpreters, and thank you to 836M Gallery. We're going to have a lot more messages later. Thank you also to the audience for joining and watching. Thank you to Borealis Philanthropy Disability Inclusion. I love the Borealis Philanthropy, awesome people. Thank you to the Urban Jazz Dance Company staff who do so much work to bring everything together. And again, thank you all to those of you out there watching. I miss you guys. Huge hugs. I know it's been a long time. It's true, but where are those hearts? Where are those likes? Let me see them. And I know that some of you have got some more questions. You can save them. Go ahead and throw all your thoughts, any feelings, next person you want to see on the show, throw them all in the chat. And if you'd like to donate, #DeafWoke. You can do that at the realurbanjazzdance.com website. And the next time that #DeafWoke is going to be live, I can't say yet. But again, my name is Antoine PurpleFireCrow. I really appreciate all of you for joining. This is not the last time that we'll meet, but it's great to finally connect with you all again. Everyone, take the time to listen to each other. I always say just because you can hear doesn't mean you know how to listen. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you all for watching our show. Peace, love, and I'm out.